Hello. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time of watching this video. This is my review of the Canon EOS 450D or Rebel XSI. So here it is, the 450D. I picked this camera up in Hong Kong back in April 2008, so right at launch. Let me first tell you about the 3 reasons I had this camera. First reason was that I'm kind of into macro photography and portraiture and object photography. So what you want to have is your subject in a very sharp focus and everything else blurred out. So you want a shallow depth of field. And due to the larger sensor size and larger apertures on digital SLRs, this is better done on these kind of devices. The second reason was, I really like handling camera like this. I love the way the grip is molded. I love the way the controls are laid out, and I just love the quick responsiveness of the entire process. The third reason was, pure and simple image quality. I mean, like anyone who is in the market for a digital SLR, I've been researching, I've been browsing the web, looking at images of digital SLRs, and although my previous camera, which was a Canon PowerShot A640, was really good, there are numerous differences in image quality, high ISO performance, sharpening artifacts, color, reproduction, contrast, etc. So what do I like about the Canon EOS 450D? Well, it immediately started when I picked this up in the store, and this is something I recommend to everyone. No matter what kind of camera you're into or you're interested in, you should really take the time and pick it up in the store, because chances are, if you're annoyed with something when you pick it up, you'll be annoyed with it for quite a long time, despite how good it looks on spec sheets. So specifically what I like about this camera is the improved grip, which is rubberized here on the grip and on the thumb rest. So that's really quite good. It gives you great confidence in handling the camera. Another great thing is, look at that screen. That's pretty damn huge. Like, that's 3 inches wide, and you can appreciate it as reshuffled all the buttons to the right side. Personally, I like that because you can use one hand to move the controls around. However, there's one practical difficulty with this. When you're watching through the viewfinder like this, see, here's my thumb, and your thumb is wrestling with your nose. So that's kind of a boo-boo. But still, overall, I think the button layout is pretty good on this camera. So what else do I like about this camera? I like the responsiveness of it all, like I said previously, but also I like its continuous shooting speed. It has been upgraded from 3 frames per second from the previous Rebel to 3.5 frames per second in JPEG mode, and this is how it sounds like. So that's pretty quick, although it's certainly not in the league of the Canon EOS 40D, which is obviously 6 frames per second. But this is still pretty fast, and I found it in practice to be sufficient for most of my uses, which is also sports actually. So that's pretty good too. What else do I like? Well, I like the kit lens. See, as you can see here, it's image stabilized, and the image stabilization allows for slower shutter speeds in darker conditions. I can go as low as 1/15th of a second and still get reasonably sharp shots, especially if I combine it with burst mode. So there's always going to be one good picture in that series. The lens is also pretty sharp, the previous kit lens like really sucked, but this one is pretty sharp. The autofocus is also pretty quick, despite this being not a USM lens. I mean, if you're getting this for practically free, I really think you should go for it. Later you can upgrade to a 50mm 1.8 or 1.4, or grab a zoom lens, a tele lens, like the 55 to 50 IS kit lens, or perhaps further up the range, a 70 to 200 for f4L lens, which is pretty high on my to buy list, but still. So what don't I like about this camera? Well, not much. The Canon Rebel line has improved generation to generation. There's really not much to say about this. Most things I don't like is, for instance, although I like the kit lens very much, focusing in low light without the flash strobe is pretty slow or pretty awkward, and that's normal. I mean, with an f range from 3.5 to 5.6, you can't expect too much. But if I use a flash strobe, it's pretty fast. Yeah, I guess that's it. There's really not much that I don't like about this camera. Perhaps one of the big dangers of buying a DSLR is that you will be enticed to buy other stuff. You will be so convinced that the kit package is not enough and that you need an external flash, you'll need better lenses, you need a battery grip, you need all those accessories. Well, to a certain extent that's true, but honestly, it's not the most essential thing to make great pictures. I mean, as many other people on the net say, notably Ken Rockwell, you can make great pictures with a really crappy camera. So I guess my last tip to you is, when you get a camera like this or any other camera, you should learn about photography itself. I mean, learn about exposure, learn about using your camera, knowing the controls and the abilities of your camera, learn about composition, lighting, which is probably the most important thing in photography, and just keep playing with it. Practice around, keep making shots, and as you gain experience, you'll make better pictures. So, this has been my review of the Canon EOS 450D or Rebel XSI. Great camera. See you later.